Welcome back to Distant Nights, Part 2, despite the fact it says Part 3 at the top of my screen, because Episode 0 was started with a 1, because I'm good at this. So, been a while since we did this. Not as long as last time it was a while, but it's still a while, because of scheduling nightmares. But, so, we have, the same people as last time, minus Lisa. I feel like I should point that out to future me note-taking, because Lisa will be away till she's finished a major project for uni. Alright. So, where we left off. Who remembers what was happening when we left off?
We arrived at the Capitol Spire.
Yep.
Talked to a guy that definitely didn't want to be at the Capitol Spire.
Yep.
Or in his job. He gave us a job which paid quite well.
Yes.
All we needed to do was break into something, steal some data, then sort some other stuff out, maybe? So we decided to find out about Ringworld 1?
Yes. Which is the nearest one. I'll move you over to the world map. The girl map.
We were, everyone apart from
I'm not.
Lilo's characters was fucking useless at doing that, especially me, because I was and Hex, because we were incompetent and didn't ask the one person that we definitely should have asked.
Thank you for the compliment.
I mean, you were the only competent one there.
It's true.
I mean, what else were I supposed to do if you don't ask?
I know. Me and Hex were just incompetent in that conference.
I mean, isn't that like a given?
Yeah, no, it is.
I mean,
it is. It just
I did exactly what I was supposed to do.
That's what I was doing. I was role-playing my character.
Yeah.
I wasn't
Yes.
there.
I mean, you're an idiot. I was just role-playing my character.
You were there.
I wasn't there.
Oh.
When they were talking to the guy.
Oh yeah,
I
not
wasn't
that. Sorry.
So you're saying your character is an idiot?
Yep.
Nice. Like
So it's
that.
mine.
Good cover.
Not just his character.
Can we talk about the fact both of your engineers are idiots?
Yeah, no. We just have no social skills.
This ship is gonna run fine.
I mean,
Yeah.
This is fine!
Yeah.
he has -2 in charisma and -1 in wisdom.
Basically, you're both space autists.
-1 persuasion, -1 persuasion, wisdom, and only a 1 in intelligence.
Yargon, I'm a space autist and I take offense to this.
That's fine. Okay.
We lost the one wise person.
Yes,
Wait.
I have.
If Rick is your wise person, you're in
Oh,
trouble already.
The fucking.
Yeah, we are.
No. Oh,
We
I
have,
think
we have
some of these
intelligent
guys-
people. We just don't have wise.
At least that, okay?
That's
Okay,
fine.
was it
So,
charge sheet 1 or new charge sheet?
well,
I feel
it's
like I
the
had
one
this
that's
problem
not
last-
brightly coloured.
I feel like I had this problem the last time too.
I feel like you should probably just rename them to, or put one in a legacy folder. Anyway.
I got
This
it.
is why I talk about file management so fucking much.
Yeah, you've talked about file management so much, I've started managing my files correctly.
Oh, I'm so proud of you.
Yeah, I kind of hate you. You're welcome. So,
I got it right. You're welcome.
where we left off, to give a quick addition to the recap. Yes, you had been hired by someone who you'd previously met once, although you're not sure quite who they were. And they had contacted someone else. Well, they contacted you and they contacted someone else to set up the meeting, so you're still not quite sure who they are. And it was a sort of one-way chain of command thing. You would get additional details on what you were to do once you had gathered the information you are looking for, once you have both accepted the job and got the information. You're not sure what you're looking for. All you know is that it will lead you further down this rabbit hole. You are being paid 500,000 credits upon completion to follow this chain until its end, essentially. See what you can get from an ancient Prioribi laboratory built into the first ring world, right deep within its core, which is sort of an area that's a little bit off limits to everyone, especially people with weapons and explosives and kit in general. And you guys were planning to break in to said
So they
laboratory.
really don't like Hex's character there.
They just don't like people who could disturb the mechanism that keeps literally billions of people alive currently.
I feel this is, you know,
You're actually going to really struggle to disturb said mechanism, being that it's, you know, planet-sized in actual size. But it is a possibility, and it seems to be self-maintained at the moment. So people don't just kind of generally don't touch it because, I mean, it keeps the ring world, you know, stable. So that's a good idea.
evil plan noises.
That is, those are words. So.
Indeed.
You guys had taken a little while to explore the station, and just for continuity's sake, because there was a number of specimens of some of the only surviving plants from the original Terra Maxima, that are direct descendants of, at least, here on the station Capital Spire. Lexie. And I'm not going to try and do a voice, because it doesn't go well.
Tom, I'm not accepting it unless I get a voice.
Okay, well, you've got my voice, that's a voice, fuck you.
I'm doing an impression of Lisa's character, so nope, not accepting it otherwise.
That's okay. So, Theo comes to you, and she's going to basically, at some point, ask you basically, or more to the point, it's not so much ask, it's more just tell you, hey, Captain, you know, I'm going to stay here and study these because these are really cool, and I will catch up with you guys later. And if, you know, if Seraph is going with you, then she will be able to find you, because you can always message him.
Why do you sound so odd?
Yeah,
Because-
why do you suddenly sound like a man?
That's really strange.
It's really strange. You've changed quite a lot.
Because
Yeah.
this
The
is...
cold?
I don't hear any difference.
Probably it's because of the plant.
You have one ear. I'm not surprised.
Boy, it's a good ear.
Okay.
I want it noted, I hate all of you.
We love you too.
Noted.
Yes. But yes, she will essentially be like, hey, I'll be back. And she plot yetis herself out of the campaign for the moment. So,
I'll be back.
pretty much. So,
If she uses that voice, I will be really concerned.
It's because of the plants, guys.
yeah, she's got hay
she's
fever.
smoking her. Oh, okay.
Yeah, she just got really bad hay fever. Like, it's going to take her years to work out how to deal with hay fever.
Yep.
Because she
Yep.
needs to work out that she just needs to walk away from the plants.
That's gonna take a while.
Isn't it like fucking future time now? Shouldn't they have dealt with that by now? Hay fever.
No.
There's only so much you can do in the future. Like, yeah, you can bring people back from the dead. Well, you can't. You can bring people back from the brink of death. You can fix limbs that'll be missing, but hay fever's pushing it.
yeah, that's almost as hard as the common cold. Ooh.
I mean, I know it's, you know, it's just a fantasy space opera thing, but you know, hey, we like to keep some realism.
Hey, fever.
So, yeah, you're welcome.
I hate myself.
Okay. So I think
Yeah. So, what is
me
your
and
guys'
Lewis
sort of current
were
plan?
headed to- weren't we headed to like a air dock thing with to meet up with Lilo?
Yeah, weren't we going on a planet tour for a bit?
Yeah, there's a basically a tourist thing that tours you around the
Yeah.
relatively nearby system of Ringworld 1, which you can all go to if you want.
How much use is this going to be, guys?
I'm heading over there. So.
Like,
Okay.
Alright, let's go. We may
Ray said that she needed backup, and so I was going there.
So who's
And I was
heading over?
unfortunately unarmed,
Yes, mostly.
mostly.
So who is heading over?
I'll head over, but yeah.
I'll head over.
Okay. Seraph, are you heading over?
Sure, yeah.
Okay, cool. So everyone is going then. So
Me
yeah,
as well.
you were.
Crew
I'll
trip.
put the ship onto lockdown if we're leaving it here for a bit.
Yeah. I mean, it does that whenever you step out of it. Anyway, but yes, you make
It's
sure
like one of
everything's
those
locked down.
keyless cars.
Kind of, yeah.
As I said, everyone's coming back. I'm also gonna run aside and put an extra mine on Wi-Fi.
Okay.
Oh my god.
That's 3 now, by the way.
What's
Mine's
this?
in a speak.
Yeah.
You've already had 2. That's a 3rd.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Yep. That's a little overkill. That's a flat 60 damage.
That should be his second name.
That is his second name.
Is it? Okay.
I don't
What,
have a
flat
second
60
name.
damage? That's a shit name.
No, but that's a lot of damage. So yeah, you quickly hop in, add a 3rd mine to waifu,
Can't
and
leave it unprotected.
that's one way of looking at that. And so you all head over, and remember you're inside of a giant O'Neill cylinder. Haha, I know the name of these things now because I forgot it last time. And you head over to one of the shuttle pads where you see a shuttle is sort of. It's on what looks like a landing pad, but as you approach, you realise this is a mock-up of a shuttle on top of a building, which is designed to look like a landing pad, and the actual shuttle is not there. It's on the outside of the station. That's just basically advertising. But yeah,
By
you had
any chance,
yes.
does the shuttle, is it bright red with loads of like suns and sunglasses and happy looking people on it? Just like the tour buses in
It's
the
it's
world
actually
currently.
yeah, it's actually not. But it has a yellow bit at the bottom, and then the top of it's green. And I'm not ripping this off of a Jeep in a very very popular film.
What film?
Oh come on, Jurassic Park.
So it
Oh.
I forgot
No.
I fucking muted. Yeah, Jurassic Park. Yep.
so it doesn't look like that in there.
If you're posting a picture of one of the
Glasgow
tour buses. Yeah, no, it doesn't look like that. It does actually just pretty much look like a white shuttle. It's plain white. It sort of doesn't really pay to have advertising on the side of shuttles because people don't really see that much.
I'm gonna look around to see if I find Ray.
Yeah.
To be like, if I don't see her immediately, I'm gonna like at least have a hand on my pistol
Yeah, if you're looking for a what? Sorry.
for Ray.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, as you do have a hand on your pistol because you don't see her immediately, but yeah, you all sort of converge on this point, and after a few moments you'll meet up nearby in one of the streets where there's like a couple vendors selling various things, including sunglasses and hot dogs. But yeah, you basically meet up
I'll buy a hot
outside.
dog.
Okay, yeah, they're like 2 marks each, and pretty trashy, honestly. They're really not that good.
I'll buy everyone a hot dog then, in fact, if they're 2 marks each.
Okay, yeah,
Thanks.
go ahead.
Thanks.
So go ahead and mark off, what's that? That's 2, 4, 6, 8. So go ahead and mark off the 8 marks because Seraph, not much point buying him a hot dog.
I'll buy him one anyway.
Okay, yeah, that's 10 marks. Seraph, you will get given a hot dog. You're also muted. Does he know he's muted?
No.
Fuck! Come on! He's talking for the last like 2 minutes.
I just told you were muted.
I was okay. Well, he's gonna stare at the hot dog, then stare at Lexie, and then stare at the hot dog, and then just wait.
If you don't want it, I want it.
Dude, he just like silently passes it to
Yep.
whatever.
He eats both hot dogs.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
You have 2 hot dogs. They're, again, kind of trashy, but I mean, they're not that bad. You've had worse, but you've also definitely had better.
He doesn't care, he eats them anyways.
There's a very... And as you're eating the second one, you realise There's a very faint hint of coconut.
Yay!
What?
I
it's
hate
just,
coconut.
White girl,
Tom,
just like
Tom,
white girl
Brian-
fucking hot dog.
Do I immediately realise that
Fuck's sake, Lewis.
lunch bars?
You sort of get the feeling that there may have been lunch bars involved in the creation of these hot dogs to sort of pad it out a little, you know? Like, it's not mostly lunch bar, but like... I mean, you get more if you add a few lunch bars to your hot dog mix before you make it into hot dogs, so there might be a few. It's low-quality food, let's put it that way.
And the coconut thing, let me just explain to you. A while back, Lewis determined that there were a lot of lunch bars in a lot of different flavors, and basically all lunch bars had flavors of coconut in them.
Yes, they all taste ever so slightly of coconut for some fucking
Yeah.
reason.
I've got an entire word sheet somewhere of types of lunch bars.
Yeah, he has like hundreds of different flavors because it's Lewis.
I support this section.
Yeah. At some point, I'm
This
gonna have
is,
to get
this
them
is
all off him.
very, very important lore.
Yeah.
Yeah, very.
It is.
No,
Some of them actually do stuff. I think
Oh.
some heal you and some poison you.
Yeah, yeah.
Some give
Well,
you the
what-
runs.
the fucking what is it called? Like poison lunch bars? Is it like that obvious on the wrapper and shit?
No, it's like apple cider. Also, all lunch bars look the same.
Apple cider lunch bar is gonna fucking poison you.
It might do.
Just some of them are like
Low
taste
quality
of
craft
like
beer.
Darcy socks coated in coconut deodorant.
Oh,
Yeah.
oh, that's unfortunate. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All lunch bars look the same. The people who make them sort of go ham wild. They're like the people who make jelly beans. You know how they just sort of
yeah, I was thinking.
everything you can think of is a jelly bean flavor. It's like that for lunch bars, except they don't do the courtesy of telling you what they are.
Right. Have you?
And everything has a coconut
Tom,
flavor.
you haven't watched Harry Potter, have you?
No, because it's bad.
Okay, now that I've got
Yeah,
that,
you're thinking of
it's
the-
recorded. It's gonna go online. I'm happy that this is out there, so that when in the future, when people see this, they're gonna fucking.
That's all right.
I mean,
Like,
not when.
if we ever get married, then we could just show it, and you're like, oh, and then they're all goes like, no.
That's all right,
Nah.
Hex.
Too
You
much.
really needn't worry.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, I know. That's so mean.
Yikes. Okay,
I believe in you.
Okay.
that's all right. I understand you don't. Me neither. Anyway, yeah. So, what are you guys doing as you meet up?
I'm just looking at Ray to be like,
And get, given hot dogs by Lexie.
Wasn't the person at some point meant to send us some extra information before we do it?
Yes, he would do. It was going to take a little bit of time before he would do, and he didn't know when it would be. But he would try and send you some extra info.
Right.
Well,
So it's
what-
been a day at this point.
Yes, and it hasn't come through yet.
Right.
I think the thing that he was going to send you was how to communicate the next part. He was going to give you
How to
contact
break
info
'em.
for how to.
Was it? I thought there was
How to break a maglock.
also information from
Them.
the-
I believe he said there might be, but he wasn't sure.
right.
He only knows that he has to basically activate a beacon, and they will then send you something else. He doesn't actually know exactly what it is, but he's like, yeah, this will contain information on how to contact them for the next part. So you might have to ask for more info and get it. You're not
Yeah.
quite sure.
Fair enough.
so Ray,
Right.
what are we doing here?
Going to get a
Well,
tour. See what they offer.
I've met a shady guy, and he somehow knew you, kid. I don't know what you two were doing.
What
but-
did he look like?
I will neither confirm nor deny any information.
I mean, he looked kind of like an albino, I think.
I pledge the fifth.
You mean you plead the fifth? Okay.
I think he and kids
Yes.
were a thing.
Well, whatever. I found out that we could get some information about this ring world up there, and I thought, why not get some more information? But I didn't want to go alone, if you know what I mean.
Okay.
It's dangerous to go along. Take this. Sorry.
Stop. Stop.
Sorry.
We will not take your word.
I'm
Stop
so
myself.
sorry, guys.
Oh,
And look, I keep just with the like everyone else in the background.
Right then, do you want to head then? Let's see
Yeah.
how this goes.
I love to imagine that Lexie's actually humming that.
Just a wee bit.
That's a terrifying thought.
Yep.
Let's
Okay.
go see what tour plans they've got, shall we? Before we do anything major.
All right. Yeah, you guys head up to. There's basically a ticket booth, although obviously there's no people in it. This is the future. And there's an information board. And they've got a number of plans. They've got see the ring world, like think about it one, where they're like, here's the ring world, here's the system. We'll go through. We'll talk about all the different planets in the system, about the ring world, about everything we know about it. You know, you can have a look at this. There's the one where they actually end on the ring world. That's the most expensive one, where they take you across like some of the cities, and then they'll land in one of the ring cities. And then there's the one where they take you basically across the system. They take you to visit all of a number of the cities, talk about about the ring world and about a number of things sort of like relating to it, and then come back here, which is the second most expensive one.
Don't go second most there. That sounds, because either way, I think it's going to be easier if we come back here at the end of it.
I would just like have it explained to us because we can just fly there. We have a ship.
Should just fly
The
there.
thing is, when we take this and just sneak out or something, we don't need to risk our ship if there's something dangerous.
Yeah.
But the
Know what I
problem
mean?
is, we sneak out and we could be on the other side of the ring world to where we need to go. In fact, it's highly likely it will be too far for us to get there. And we would then need to hire a shuttle, which leaves even more of a paper trail.
Hmm.
Plus, we
in
are
our-
equipped for infiltration.
Well,
Which are heavily fortified location.
We go there on a ship, and if anyone asks us, hey, what you doing? Like, what did you do that day? We just say, we're messing about on our ship.
by the way, Yargon,
Yes.
on the ship layout, you pointed out several shuttles and ships.
Yes.
Do we actually have those?
Yes, you have 3 shuttles. 2 non-FTL capable ones and 1 FTL capable one that is slightly bigger, can hold a bit more cargo.
Guys, we could just take a shuttle or something.
We
You
would.
don't want to take a shuttle between systems, really. It's going to take a really long time, because they're not really rated for that.
Oh wait, we're not in a system, are we? Yeah.
Yeah, no.
Would it be feasible to orbit one of the planets and then bring the shuttle in? That makes sense.
Yeah, you can do that. That's what the bigger shuttle's for. The bigger shuttle can do that. It goes in-system flight. Might take like an hour or so to get from, to get around in the system. You're looking at 1 to 2 hours, really. But
Is the big shuttle the faster one?
yes, that's the FTL capable one. The smaller ones, they are faster in real space. Essentially, they've got more acceleration, but they are non-FTL capable. So
Which would be better for the plotted route that we would need to take?
you will need the FTL capable one. Otherwise, you will be
The FTL
leaving
one.
your shuttle, your main ship, in wide sense of view. Because otherwise you're gonna be out in the open, essentially.
Right. Yeah, that's fine.
Because the non-FTL capable ones would take like months to get there.
Yeah, that's a problem.
Mm-hmm.
You want to go
We're talking
into
like
the
NASA's
system.
flight times.
You want to go into into the system, and then just scout it out for a wee bit. Just scout it out ourselves. It'll be easier. Get to the closest city, speak to a couple of people, maybe find even a drink guard if we can. It'll provide probably more information than one of these. Well, does anyone actually want to take this tour? Because it could be interesting for some reason.
I don't mind taking it. Might be fun and informative.
If we do it, we're doing the second most expensive one there, because at least then we get to return here.
It's not that expensive, by the way.
I know that, but the second
Yeah.
most, we need to return here either way.
Yeah.
So we may as well get the one that returns here.
Look over at just Ray and be like,
How much is it? Is it a credit each or something like that?
It's 5 credits each.
5 credits each.
Yeah, so it's really not that expensive. But yeah, it's 5 credits each for that one. It's 7 credits each for the one that leaves you there, and it is only 3 credits each for the other one. The one that, by the look of it, takes less time as they just hop around the system a little bit.
How long does the 5 credit one take?
It will. I mean, they estimate it will take about 3 hours.
3 hours?
Yeah.
Oh, I was thinking this was like a day-long thing.
No.
Want to just quickly do this, see what it tells us? Then, in fact, if it's 3 hours.
Sure.
Yeah. Seems
Yeah,
fine.
why not?
I'll
Okay.
pay. I may as well.
Yeah, as you go through, they ask, pick your departure, and basically there's one leaving in about an hour's time. It seems it leaves, stops back here for half an hour, and then just leaves again. So
Okay. So that will be an hour, and then the one after that would be 4 or
about,
5 hours time.
yeah, the one afterwards is 3.5 hours after that.
Right.
So 4.5 from current.
May as well get the one in an hour, surely.
Yeah.
Kid
Unless
is
any-
gonna like start turning around and walking back home like, quietly.
Okay. So Kip begins to walk away, but yeah, you pick the one in an hour, and yeah, you pay.
Yeah, I'll pay now.
Cool, go for
May
it.
as well.
Well, yeah, they
Or it
require
goes
upfront
up
payment,
the credits.
but yeah, you transfer the credits over, and yeah, okay, you have an hour. What are you guys doing for that hour? Or in that hour, I suppose.
Hmm.
I'm walking back to the ship.
Okay, yeah, you're heading back to the ship. What's everyone else doing?
Probably the same.
You're also heading back to the ship. Okay.
Yeah.
How far away is the ship?
I mean, it's like 10 minutes walk.
10-minute walk, alright. I was
Yeah.
thinking it was like half an hour there, half an hour back or something like that.
No, it's like 10 minutes.
Is there anything of interest within walking distance of here? I'll bring my data slate out and look. Or
Okay.
Yahoo Maps.
Yeah, you pull up Yahoo Maps, Capital Spire, and it like zooms in, does a fancy animation, it lags a little bit, and then the map comes up, and yeah, you look through it. Go ahead and make go make a general knowledge check. Why not?
Okay, so that's just not proficient. Bonus is 0.
Yeah, basically.
Oh,
That's a
I got.
16, right? Yeah.
Yep, I got the same roll just the other way around each time.
Yeah, that's really weird. Okay. Yeah, so with 16, yeah, you look around. There's nothing that immediately catches your eye. There's a number of like local like restaurants, that kind of stuff. You see basically a lot of touristy stuff. So there's restaurants, there's gift shops, there's like there's more hey, people actually live here shops. Although they're like not usually on the main sort of thoroughfare that you're on. They're a little bit ways off that, but you can find like hey, here's like a clothes shop, and here's like if you want to buy an EVA suit, here's where you do that, and just stuff like that.
EV suits are the ones that
Spa-
give you full or some?
Extravehicular
Oh.
activity spacesuit.
Okay, so that one doesn't limit you in space, does it?
No, that's the it's a bit like big and bulky, but it's slightly armored, and they are actual like physical suits, so they don't require
Do we have any?
very much. If you have them. No. By base, you have a number of the emergency, like, the hamster balls, as they're known, which are the ones that project a hard, like, bubble around you, but you can't really do anything with them. They'll keep you alive, and that's it. Outside of that, you don't have any unless you buy them.
How expensive are the?
I'll head over.
They're
to
not
find
cheap,
EV suits.
but they're not, like, crazy expensive. It depends on the ones you get. Like, a basic EVA suit with no additional, like, armor value
most
or anything like
basic,
that.
I have 98 credit. Can I get in?
No. The most basic EVA suit, you're looking at a few hundred.
Okay.
I'll go check them out.
and they sort of get up to ludicrous amounts. Okay, yeah, you head over to go look at that.
Yeah.
All right. What are the rest doing in this time? Then we'll go speak.
I think I'm going with Lexie, but before I go, I just check out if there are some flyers or something at the area we're at that I could grab and already, look through for information, for a map probably, or for something that could help us.
Yes, there will be it's kind of like a stand that would have flyers on it, but essentially you take a data slate or something, you just like hold it up to it, and it'll basically download a PDF. It's a digital flyer, which is because papers.
PDFs,
It's not actually a PDF. But it's essentially a PDF. But it's also it's actually close to a 3D model because you can holographically project it if you need it. But it also works as a flat thing.
Okay, well then I'm going to download that one quickly and then follow Lexie.
Okay, yeah, you grab one of those and follow Lexie. Charlissandra and Seraph, what are you guys doing?
Charlissandra was just going with Rai and Lexie, just looking around a bit.
Right, and Seraph, you're heading with Kit?
Yeah, I was heading back with Kit.
Okay, so we'll start with you two. Kit, Seraph, what are you two doing? You head back to the ship.
Going into my room, grabbing my one ear and nubbling on it and be like, I have one good ear. It's a good ear.
Yeah, you hear yourself?
Yeah, and because someone mentioned I just have one ear, and he's kind of just talking about that for an hour, and then he starts minding his room a bit more.
Okay, yeah, so you're just going to sort of...
No, that the captain can't stop him.
Okay, you're just going to
Jesus Christ!
add lines. All right.
By the way, Tom, can I add a room inspection? The weekly occurrence?
I really wouldn't if I were you.
I'll be doing it with him.
You can certainly
to make
try,
sure.
but I'm going to say, I do know how many mines he has. I do know where they're placed. And I also know the triggers, so just be careful. Seraph, what are you doing while he's sort of just
I'm gonna
messing around?
Some of Theo's stuff is still on the ship.
Yes, that's a good point. Yeah. She's probably in the process of grabbing what she needs. I mean, she intends to catch up with you guys, so she's effectively on holiday right now.
Right. I'm just gonna tell her like, hey, can I borrow any of your pre-Orby books so I can read? I can continue reading on stuff we need now.
Yeah, she probably has a number of those that she will be more than happy to part with if you want to do that.
Yeah, probably just gonna do that.
Yeah, so you can
give
definitely
yourself,
grab
like,
some for notes.
Yeah.
One of the books called The Idiot's Guide to the Pre-Orby, or?
It's not.
The young lady's illustrated guide to pre-Orby.
No.
No.
God damn it, Rick.
I like just us three like get set jokes.
Yeah.
God fucking damn it. We have to make that canon though, but I hate that. But it has to be. It wouldn't be the Pre-Orby because you need to know what they look like. But
Oh yeah.
oh boy.
Young lady's illustrated guide to the dragon and how to tie them up. Then.
Oh god.
Whatever.
Okay, you now officially have one of those in your cabin.
Right. Thanks.
Not you. Charlissandra does. Just because I want that series to be canon in its universe as well, just because it's funny.
Sorry.
Sorry.
Don't worry about it.
Yeah, you know what? That's a long story. I'll explain later.
I feel like Lexie probably would be the one to have that book for some reason.
No, I doubt it. So
Depends on what the book's about.
Dragons and how to tie them up.
let's just
Right.
leave that to your imagination. It's exactly what it sounds like. So, yeah, you are just grabbing some of her books and getting a bit of info and just sort of gonna help her unload on the stuff she needs and whatnot.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Alright, so, the other three. You guys head over to a store, and it's doesn't actually have a name on the front of it, and you look at your maps, and you look at this building, and it like sort of looks about right. Like, but in the window there is, there's a mannequin with what appears to be an EVA suit on it. So probably the right place. And it does have like a shop-like door, like one of those ones with a big glass in it, and an open sign like hanging in it. Obviously, the actual open sign is holographic, but they're trying. And so you head on in, and there's this fraying guy sort of behind a counter, sort of sitting like at the back of the store. And there's a number of like EVA suits and emergency, and like it seems to do not just EVA suits but all sorts of basic extravehicular supplies. So they've got like void rated like nuts and bolts and like the equipment you need, like power, like void rated power tools and like EVA suits and just the basic kind of stuff you'd need to deal with being in space on a day-to-day basis if you're maintaining a ship or something like that.
Yeah. How much of it is stuff that we already have?
You've got reasonable supplies of most of this.
Right.
Just
Just
like
not the-
basic stuff like void paint, like the nuts, bolts that you need. You have that kind of stuff just because a ship like yours kept that kind of stuff on it.
Yeah.
Most ships do, but yours is sort of designed for being away from civilized space for some time, so you definitely have a reasonable supply of that still.
Yeah. So I'll top up on any sort of supplies that we don't that we need and falling short on, and then how much of the EVA suits, etc.
Right. So an EVA suit, you can get the basic like what do you call them? You can get a fitted hard light suit, which can be done in like 5 minutes, and you can get one of those that will cost you about 50 credits. Which is pretty cheap, but they're not really going to be much use. You can't like use tools or anything with them.
Yeah.
You can get a proper EVA suit for about 150 credits fitted. That will take a little time for them to make it. It will take about like I'd say about like 4 or 5 hours per suit to make.
Yeah.
And you can get or you could go for a bit more than that. You could get an EVA suit that has mag boots. You can get an EVA suit that has an extended oxygen tank, one that has a propulsion system, one that has, like some built-in tools. You can get stuff that just all of the additional things you can add to an EVA suit, including additional armoring and that kind of stuff.
How much would a armored EVA suit be? Like a light and medium.
Armored EVA suits. They would. They would cost for a light, essentially a light armor. That would cost cost about 350 credits, and for a heavy one, it's going to cost you about 1,000 credits. And a medium, sorry, is going to cost about 750 credits, and they're pretty bad armor for their class, just because they're void suits primarily and armored second.
Yeah. Can you get armored with like mag and all that?
You can, yeah. Those are like add-ons that you can basically get for the suit. And you can get like mag boots for an extra 50 credits. You can get like extended oxygen tank for another like 20 credits. You can get all these other things. These can be fitted in post as well, so you could get a regular suit and then buy the upgrades as you go, as you need them.
Yep. Right then. So what would
They're
I want?
modular essentially.
A basic EVA suit with mag boots would be great.
You're not with us, unfortunately.
No.
Yeah.
Like, you should have came instead of arming space your room up.
He's talking.
So
Yeah, you were mean to him.
I wasn't mean with you.
Well, yeah, someone was.
Need to look back on it too.
So, Ray, what do you need?
Well, I'm not sure. I thought of a casual EVA suit.
Just
Probably-
a basic and then...
How big is Kid?
Kit, pretty small.
Yeah, Kid. Yeah, I know that. But how big is he?
80 centimeters.
Okay, that's too small.
Wait, what were you thinking of?
that-
That's what she said.
Jeez. Oh, that's unfortunate.
Thanks, guys.
Nah, I thought of something like that probably Kid could use too. Just in case.
Exercise.
Oh god.
But I think that's not really possible.
Yeah,
So
Yeah, unfortunately, based on the differences between your races, that's not really going to work.
Yeah.
oh yeah, true.
Yeah.
So you just want a basic in then?
Yeah, basic. I can move and survive suit.
Okay. If you want one that doesn't mean you have to be like holding onto handles and stuff the whole time, and mind you, a lot of ships will not have handles on the exterior. Getting mag boots is a pretty good investment.
What would that be? What would that cost?
They're an additional 50 credits, so that'll set you back 200 credits, but it will let you walk on like the outside of a ship.
And I can still like.
Yeah, you can like walk in
tools
your
or
hands are
something.
free, just like normal.
Then I would take that one. That would be 200 credits, I think.
Yes.
Yeah. Before you buy it, let's just get everyone together.
Yeah, sure.
Liz, what would you need? That was a bad choice to ask. This is gonna-
What do you need,
While you
Lexie?
think about what you need, I'll look at what I need.
Okay.
How much would a heavy armored EVA?
1,000 credits.
Can you use mag boots and propulsion at the same time?
The propulsion is a very weak propulsion that basically it's a reserve tank of RCS gas that will just allow you to give yourself a very small boost in one direction so you can get yourself back to a ship or back to an airlock if you get separated from a ship.
Yep.
You're not going to be able to use it in tandem with the boots, but you can have the same modules at the same time, and if you're not on the ship, you can get to it. Although
Yeah,
mag boots
50
technically
credits as
will
well.
work. Yes.
Right.
And
I'll get
you will have to
both.
get RCS fuel pressurized and stuff.
Yeah, and how much would that be?
That's like 10 credits for a tank.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
And
Okay,
if everything else
tanks.
fails, you can go Iron Man.
Okay. It's not quite Iron Man, but like it's getting there.
It was a reference. Like,
Yes. Yes, but I didn't get your reference because I'm bad. So,
Yeah. And Liz, what do you need?
Maybe just with our mag boots.
Just normal with mag.
Yeah.
Okay,
so it's
I'll
just
get.
200 credits as well.
I'll
So
put
it's-
the RCS on them just in case as well, because I may as well.
On both of them?
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah, on both of them. So that's 500. So that's
Okay, so that's
1,600.
yeah.
1,700.
and that'll give you what, like 10 tanks, I guess.
10 tanks.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Yeah, you can do that. The
I'll
guy
go
seems
with the guy.
to be. He seems like the kind of guy who hasn't sold many of these heavy armored suits, and he definitely gives you a bit of a questioning look, but isn't going to turn
Maybe.
down nearly 2,000 credits. Sorry.
Before I buy it, I'll just go to him. Hey, is this the best price you can get and all that? Buying quite a bit here.
Yeah, I mean, these are definitely the best prices you're going to get around here.
Can you do a bit more because a bit more of a bulk order?
I could if you bought, say, another, like, 6 or 7 suits, but with this many, unfortunately not. It's sort of covering operating costs of the machines to, refit stuff at this point.
Fair enough.
Right.
Here you go.
Very well, and he'll basically takes your money and you assume you're paying digitally.
Yeah.
Cool. Do you have a separation in your account of digital and chips on your sheet?
Yes.
Cool.
I've only got 2,000 mark chips. And 100 gain.
Okay. Cool. And he. All right, if you'll step into this booth over here, it'll get everyone's measurements, and he like gestures to a booth at the back. It kind of looks like a
Yeah.
fitting booth, and you go in, you like basically strip down into just your underclothes, then it scans you, and then it gets your measurements, and you'll do that one by one. All right, well, I'll have that whole order done in about 15 hours. If you come back then it'll be done.
Yeah, we can do that.
Very well. Have a good day.
And you.
Okay.
Do come again. And yeah, he'll start work on that. So, you guys, yeah, is there anything else you wanna do in that hour? Probably don't have too much time left after.
Do we need
shopping.
to restock our resources on the ship? Like food, water?
You're pretty
I
good
had
on those, I
already done.
believe. Yeah.
Sorted that out at one point.
Yes. I mean, water on the ship is pretty much reusable almost all the time. It actually decreases really slowly, because the only time it really decreases is when you basically, like, go for a pee or whatever off the ship. Because otherwise stuff gets recycled, because it can be. Why wouldn't it? Food's a little more complicated. That you do need more. You do need more food, but yeah. So, all right. Lewis types furiously. .mp4.
Yeah, it's alright. I'm writing notes and all that.
Mute
can tell.
thyself.
Yeah,
Yeah, the mute button does exist. You should try it. So,
yeah, but that's a lot of pressing, and I'll keep on doing what net cable.
That's a lot of pressing.
Whoa, I'm doing it because I'm like, yeah,
I'm
that's
sorry, I'm too busy
But I'm-
pressing buttons to press my mute button. La 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 la.
I'm
The
moving
thing is,
around in my
I'm
room, so I
sorting-
kind of need to mute myself.
Yeah,
The
it's
thing
fair.
is, though, I then get started laughing at because I'm doing what net cable does. I'm
Yep.
forgetting to unmute myself.
that's
So-
all right. So, go ahead. You guys, you know, the hour passes. You eventually meet up, or shortly before the hour passes, you meet up outside the ride and the tour, and doors open, and you can hop on should you so choose. It seems to be a fairly automated affair. There's no people you encounter, and as you get on, you head into what appears to be, like, it looks like a shuttle, but you can see it's clearly inside of something else. Like, it seems to be in a hangar. But you get onto a ship, walk through a door, into this hangar, and then into the shuttle, so it's probably stored inside another ship currently. And basically, you take your seats, and it goes through the whole in-flight safety video, which is sort of just like, if anything goes wrong, you fucked. We take no responsibility. Because you can't really be like, there's oxygen masks when,
There's no
air is flowing outwards through a hole, and other things. There's, it's like, hey, there is an emergency spacesuit under your seat. Don't do anything stupid with it, because otherwise you will die. And it is a little gruesome. It's like, don't mess with it. But, because otherwise you might die. But, it's there. But then, yeah, you really need to learn to use the mute button, my dude. That's really loud.
It's alright.
Yeah, but yeah, you hop on, you get seated, you go through the in-flight safety video, and you don't see it moving. I mean, the shuttle has big windows all down the side of it, which is a bit unusual for most craft. You don't usually have much in the way of windows, simply due to the fact there's not really a lot to see in space.
Are they real windows, or are they?
Yeah, no, they're real windows. You see into them as you're boarding, and you can see out of them on the inside.
It's actually just the giant Windows 95 logo.
Right.
Yeah, no, they appear to be actual windows. Bit unusual, but they're there. A tourist attraction having windows. Who'da thunk it? So yeah,
I
you
was assuming this was like a holographic sort of thing, like our TV or like our ships.
yeah, basically big view screens. No, these appear to be actual windows. Traditionally, you would not have these in any kind of ship that's ever rated for going into combat. But there's no reason you don't have windows, and don't have the bridge front and center in ships that are non-combat. Simply because, why not? It's cool, and you can see. And if things fail, it's a good safety measure. But obviously, in a combat ship, you don't really want to be shot in the face. So, there's that. So yeah, you sort of sit there, and it starts like talking you through a bit of the history of the First Ringworld, and a bit of the history of the whole sort of area as, basically it's like, hey, we're in transit, we're in a mothership, and it'll be in transit, and you get this little graphic comes up of this other ship with a shuttle inside it, like, in transit to their system, and it'll be a couple of hours, and they'll come back. And, they basically, they walk you through a bit of the history of the first Ringworld, how it was discovered, how the seat of power basically shifted after the First Stellar War, and it talks you a little bit through the First Stellar War and what that was all about, and how basically it was the rising political tensions between Terra Lux and Venzikar, and how those two factions fought, and how that all ended. And then it talks about the Bihadral incident, and how that led to the conditions in Venzikar shortly before before everyone had to move to the First Ringworld. Before huge swathes of the population moved to the First Ringworld, due to the Bihadral incident being when a black hole, essentially, destroyed the Terra Maximum, the planet, and kind of destroyed and disrupted much of the system of Terra Lux. Hence, on the map, it's the remains of Terra Lux. And how a lot of people were evacuated to only a few, 100 years ago, like, mortal enemies in Venzikar, the Dulark. And how that was a whole thing. Before they then, when they discovered the First Ringworld, there was a huge, basically, refugee movement out there. And how it basically may have saved the Terran race. And then how, from there, they then found Freya and they found Draco, and the Alliance began to sort of grow outward from it. And how just, basically, it has a history that ties back to the very start of the Alliance and how important it is. And it also talks a bit about how the Prioribai are a race. No one knows who they are, It sort of assumes you know that the Prioribai, exist. But it goes over the very basics of, hey, they exist, and no one really knows what they are or who they are, but they were super cool and had ancient technology they built and left behind, and this is one of their things. And eventually, after a little while of this, it's actually not that long. It's pretty quick. This... there's a sort of, please wait, we're deploying the shuttle, as the little graphic of your ship reaches the little graphic of the First Ringworld. And you see the hangar floor that you could see out of the windows opens up, and the shuttle is sort of dropped out of the bottom of this bigger, more, actual starship ship. And it begins to sort of take off on its own. And you see the stars outside, really, as you see sort of space outside, and it sort of talks you through a little bit about the system, not much, as it approaches. But as it approaches, the ship pivots sort of sideways, so that you can side on, so you can actually see this First Ringworld. And it talks about how, well, it didn't talk about it, it shows you you can see the sun in the center of the system, with this structure that's just mind-bogglingly big surrounding it, and it gives you, because obviously the windows appear to also have the ability to display on them, as it displays basically a heads-up display on the windows, and you get these little scale references popping up of, hey, here's the planet Terra Maxima next to the Ringworld, and it's like, oh, it's the same height as the Ringworld, and it starts giving you these figures about the size and the sheer scale of the Ringworld, and the multiple trillions of people that live on it, and how just ludicrously big it is, being something that has into the hundreds of times the surface area of any known planet, hundreds to thousands. It's really big, and it sort of it highlights and explains the little the statites that are used to, actually they're not statites, sorry, they're the mirrors, I guess they'd be mirrors, that are used to create a day-night cycle on this Ringworld, and how that works. And you get a description of how there's these huge orbiting mirrors that basically just create shadows on the Ringworld, and that's a day-night cycle. And as you're doing that, the shuttle eventually rights itself as it begins to swoop down over the edge of the Ringworld, and it begins to make its way, flying, it feels like it's flying quite low, just due to the sheer scale of this thing, but actually you're not flying that low at all. You're still probably outside the atmosphere at this point, actually, but you can see this huge like plane beneath you that just seems to stretch ever onwards, endlessly in front of you and behind you, seeming to stretch like you're at a height similar to where the ISS would be, essentially. And it just looks like this blue, white, and green pattern beneath you. But it takes up most of the view, and yet it seems to just stretch on forever in front and behind, and you see it curving up in the distance as it goes up and round the star. And as you fly over, and it takes you to one of the first cities on the Rang world, and the shuttle actually enters the atmosphere, and it comes in really, really low over this city, and it brings you to a stop in front of this building, around which there's a sort of circle of nothingness, of no other buildings or no other infrastructure of any kind. And it talks about how this building, which appears to be just sort of a five-sided pyramid with a flat top, and it says, this is one of the first buildings that was ever found, and that this circle is actually around the first landing site of the first Ringworld. And it talks about a... I should probably have this in my notes somewhere, but it talks about one... Dr. Harvey Grownell, and it talks about his this was before he did any of his now influential works, and how this Dr. Harvey Grownell has created a number of very important scientific theories, which, have changed a lot of known science. But before he did any of that, one of the things he did is he worked on an early scanning ship that was looking for anomalies and unknown objects in space. And one of the things that they got a tip-off about and then hunted down was this system had a weird anomaly that someone had seen when scanning it at range, and they came to the system and they found the Ringworlds, and how one of the first people on it was a Dulak woman, a fighter pilot who is still alive. Who's an extended now, although she wasn't at the time, and her name is Lara's Nye. And it talks about how there was it was the Zedox, the ship, the Zedox, the TMS Zedox actually, that found the Ringworld, and it gives you the name of the captain, which I would find if I could, but I'm not entirely sure it is, and it very buried in my notes somewhere. If you want it, you can ping me about it later. But he's the... it talks about the captain who found it, and how basically, these people first explored this Ringworld, and essentially theories had existed of the Prioribai existing before here, but this is such a historic site because the moment someone first set foot here was essentially the point at which they were confirmed. And not only they were confirmed, but the greatest wealth of knowledge about them ever was found. And it then moves on, and the tour sort of goes back out of the atmosphere and flies you around the ring a bit more. It comes back down to, one of the larger cities, and it talks about how there was, here's the site of, one of the largest laboratories ever found. It was like, this is where we got all of our knowledge about the Prioribai, or most of it, and here's how, and here's, just a lot more stuff about where they came from and where they went, and then it moves on a bit further, and again, taking you sort of further around the world, and it tells you about, as it comes down over, another city this time. The last one was a facility buried in a mountain, and there's a number of structures around it. There's sort of laboratories built up around it, but and some supporting infrastructure, but most of it is not there.
Can I check the map to see how close we are to where we need to go?
Currently, wrong side of the ring.
Wrong side of the ring, okay.
Yeah, you need to go about 120 degrees further around the ring, in the direction you're going. And so it comes to this third site, which is against another city, and this time you're in a sort of huge desert area, and it talks about how this is the site where they found one of the an ancient like Priorby ship that had actually crashed on the Ringworld, and how it contained pieces of a memory bank that were enough to start piecing together some of their language, and so that they could actually put together bits of Priorby language, even back as far as about 100,000 years ago. They were piecing together little pieces of knowledge of the language, although they were struggling with it. And again, it moves on a bit further, and it passes over the area that you're looking at, Lewis. As
Okay. We see anything of use?
from the surface as you're passing down, you're actually sort of the height of the ISS, so you really don't get much of a view. You get a wide view of the ring, and it's a really spectacular view, but you don't actually get much of a view of what's actually down there. It looks more it looks like a mountainous region is sort of the most you could get, but you've got like the width of the planet Earth to sort of contend with it. You don't really get much of a sense of what's down there until again you come down, and this time you're sort of over an ocean, and they talk about how the ring is actually self-controlled with its weather and climate and stuff, and it's all artificial, and it brings you right down over the ocean surface, and until like maybe 2 or 3 meters above the ocean surface, and it says that there's actually no there's basically no life in these oceans, because when the first people found that the ring was deactivated, it had no life on it, and the oceans were all frozen, and everything was all had sort of gone to shit. And how like down here is one of the big control stations for one of these mega oceans, as they call them, and as it sort of comes along, you actually see some of these just colossal like towers and just the infrastructure built into the ocean, reaching literally kilometers in height. That is part of the infrastructure that maintains an ocean multiple times larger than the surface of the planet of Earth. And how there is enough water on this ocean alone to build a planet the size of Terra Maxima. One of the things it does is it shows you a graphic of the depth of the ocean, and it actually shows the capital spire, which in itself is about like up to 12 kilometers in length. I think at the very like tip to tip, you're measuring like antenna basically, with a very maximum length, and it shows that maybe about half submerged, and it's like, hey, this is fucking big. And it and you move on a bit, and you get up into a more mountainous region, not that far away. It doesn't actually come out of the atmosphere for this bit. And again, they talk about a similar thing, like, hey, this is some of the weather control stations, and this is how they control the actual climate. And it talks about how there's a series of these dotted all across the ring, and how they've got all these little monitoring stations that, they can produce rain clouds if they need them, and that they can, use.
Heavily guarded?
They're very heavily guarded.
Damn.
Yeah. You see a sort of distinct military presence around the weather control systems.
I was thinking, maybe we could make it like a store or something to help us. No. Okay.
I mean, I also thought we could just dismantle the daylight cycle, probably. Turning on an infinite
That's one way of
night.
doing it, yeah.
Well, you'd have
Mwahaha.
Infinite night would be a lot harder. Infinite day, that's doable. Infinite night, you'd need to basically take all of the daylight cycle from another planet, another ring world, and add it to this one.
Wait, what?
Oh, because it's created by giant mirrors that sort of orbit the sun, and these huge mirrors that are, again, they're really thin. They're only a millimeter or so thick, but they are like the size of planet Earth in diameter. Bigger than that even, across, and they these sort of rectangular mirrors, and they orbit the sun, and that creates a a day-night cycle for the ring world.
So, Pebble is a bad idea.
Yes. But yeah, it moves on again, and the tour sort of, it takes you over to, some of the larger cities, and it says, hey, this one here is where the seat of the Alliance first stood, and it takes you past the building where one of the major treaties was signed, and there's 4 statues, each of which are maybe like 300 meters tall, and there's a Dulark and a Terran and a Freyan and a Draken all sort of standing there next to this huge governmental building that's maybe a kilometer in height, and the whole thing's on a raised, like on the top of a mountain. Whereas there's this city that propagates down the side of the mountain. It's like, hey, this is what this was, at least for the time. This was the capital building of the Alliance. This is where the Dulark and the Freyans and the Draken were actually signed into the Alliance, and so it's obviously it's got its own history in that, and it moves on past there, and it takes you through a few sort of minor things about the Ringworld that aren't crazy of note, really. It's just some more history about it, some more about how it works, and how, like one of them, it takes you to this mountain that's actually a slight, like all the way down it. I say slight, it's maybe about like 30 meters, where the mountain appears to have been sheared in half, and just like half of it is shifted 30 meters or so. And it looks almost like someone's taken like just part of the mountain and just moved it, like a chunk glitch in Minecrafty almost. It's really weird looking. And it talks about how this is probably due to how they built this thing, and how not all of the segments actually line up, because it's built in segments, and they don't actually all line up perfectly. And at the end, it brings you down, right down under the Ringworld, as you head over the edge and into the underside. And this is a bit where you see a number of this sort of rock and metal like underside of this the Ringworld, and you see all these entrances, and it talks about how there are all these tunnels that go into it, and it shows you like a number of the access ports and how they all function, how they've all got these different depths into them, and how on the inside of this there's actually the Ringworlds are actually hollow, and on the inside there is a massive and you get a graphic of this, there's a massive basically tube, or actually set of loads of tubes running through it, each of which has essentially this beam of particles that are spinning around it constantly, in one way or the other, both ways actually.
One way or another.
Thanks. And the actual mass of moving energy in here is that of like multiple orbiting planets. It's a mental, but what it all does is it stabilizes the rotation, or just stabilizes it, and because the Ringworlds basically hover above that with magnets, or more point, that's suspended in a tube in the center of it, and because of that, the whole thing's actually quite stable, and it's lasted for millions of years at this point, and there's no reason to think it won't continue to last for millions of years. And it talks about how because of that, and also because there are like multiple trillions of people living here, as you begin to make your way away from the Ringworld again, back towards this shuttle, or the ship even, not shuttle. It talks about how there are, all these military ships in the system, and it's all very secure. But obviously, it's also sort of the pride of the Alliance, and these things are also they're very locked down and secure. But at the same time, they're home to trillions of people, and they're free worlds. And eventually, you come back to the to the shuttle, to the bigger ship, and you see a number of other shuttles arriving as well. 2 others to be exact. And as you dock to the shuttle in the same place you left from, shuttle to the bigger ship, and you dock in the same place you left from, and you see the stars disappear as the hangar bay floor closes around you, and then the adverts start playing, and you're subjected to about 15 minutes of advertising on your way back.
Can I not implement adblock? Is there no like Seraph mode, adblock mode thing?
Not really.
But how else are you going to hear about the brilliant power of fairy liquid? And its
Can I
ability
switch off my
to
eyes?
clean through any grease.
You
Can
can
I
close.
switch off my ears?
You can close them.
Can I switch off my ears?
You can certainly try.
Alright, well, I'm gonna try to close off my ears.
Okay. Yeah. You can pretty much do that.
Alright, cool. I don't need to listen to Lexie anymore. That's fantastic.
I plug an aux port into and connect it to the microphone.
God damn it! I put my hands on my phone. No.
He does not have an aux port on him.
Oh, okay, that's fantastic.
All right.
He is not a walking
then
stereo.
Oh, I could just be a speaker.
Just
that would be
quickly then,
funny.
Tom.
Yeah.
So he's got an aux jack then, right? I plug that in.
Can I be like Bumblebee? Just like turning it
Oh my
into
God.
frequencies.
Yeah.
That's how I speak.
It depends how fast you can scrub through the radio. So,
Can I?
not really.
Okay, never mind.
So, you eventually make it back to Capital Spire and disembark, and you are pointed in the direction of some gift shops because hey, you should absolutely get some First Ringworld memorabilia.
Yeah, no.
What is there? What can
Well,
I
it
see?
it points you at a gift shop that they're apparently partnered with that is like a couple blocks down. It's like, hey,
Yeah,
you should
but
go here.
what's in the gift shop? I'm in the gift shop now.
do you
Or
go?
I'm going to the gift shop.
Okay,
Yeah, I'm going.
so
I
you head
go-
over.
I return to the ship.
Okay, you head over to the gift shop. It's basically your ordinary stuff. You know, you can get T-shirts, you can get like keychains, you can get Ringworld plushies, which are weird, but they exist. The
I
big-
will. Is
big
there a
circular-
baseball cap?
yeah, you can get basically a baseball cap. You can get beanies.
I'm getting.
You can get,
Can I get a baseball cap and a plushie?
you get badges. Yeah, you can
Please
do.
don't get the plushie.
You can absolutely do that. You can get them for like. I mean, yeah, they're probably going to be like 2 credits each
500 credits.
Okay.
because it's
Well,
this kind of stuff, so it's
yeah.
stupid expensive. So yeah, you can get them for
2
like 2.
credits each.
Yes,
All right. Well, yeah, that's what I'm going for.
I mean think like 20 quid, essentially. Yeah, and, like it does appear to be pretty well made actually. Just looking over, but yeah, you get a plushie and of a Ringworld, which is a sort of it's got a big star in the middle, like a big pointed yellow ball, and then like just floating around it, and it seems to be just held in place by magnets, and it comes away. It is a sort of ring of plushie Ringworld.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah. So, what's everyone else doing in the time?
I mean, I have spent 4 hours literally just mining and remining my room, and then like refilming it.
Oh God. Okay.
Like,
Quick question: where's my room? And where's Hex room?
That is a point.
It's just a safety question.
Beep beep.
Do you hear the
I'll make
beeping?
sure that there's
So, quick. That's actually
guest
important.
rooms between Hex and everyone else.
Well, that's an important question. So, here's the map of the ship. Where are everyone's rooms? Go ahead and stick your tokens down in your rooms, I guess. You don't all have tokens. Never mind.
we don't have tokens.
So,
I have.
I don't.
But
I have a ship token. Look at that. Woo.
very funny. Okay, so yeah, I guess just
Flying through
right on the map then.
Oh.
You can add your name. We just add text like your name. To each room. Go ahead and label them, or just point it out and I can do it for you.
I think kids should like live here.
What has the best view?
None of them have windows.
captain's room? Oh, okay. Well, in that case,
Yeah, this is a warship, so none of them have windows.
Are we all in the same?
I'll
what
take,
is he between
Door?
rooms? What the fuck?
I'll take
Yeah,
you to next bridge.
Yeah, because we broke down, like, we made double rooms.
Yeah.
I don't think we did. Did
Yeah,
we?
we did for every crew member.
Did we?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't remember
Oh.
seeing every, but certainly some. I'll take
Yeah,
the
no,
two
just like
next
for
bridge,
everyone
though.
that is like on the ship, like for enough, like everyone has one, and then we have there's some leftovers. So.
Yeah, I think that works. So these two are Theo then.
What about we ban the
What the fuck are
guys
you
on the
doing?
top floor?
Sorry? And
fucking
what
heck.
on the top? I'll take
You're
these
doing
two. I
what?
don't know.
How do I ride? There.
Right, so these two for Theo.
Oh wait, are these bedrooms too?
Yeah.
Yeah, those are like single.
Ah!
I
I
think.
can't get
Okay.
in mine.
Didn't you say that you like? I feel like there's is supposed to be more bedrooms from what you described.
No, because I said 12. That's 12. 8 plus 4.
Wait, is it actually double rooms?
I think you guys wanted double rooms, right? Because there's
Alright,
the
well-
double size ones down here, and then there's the single size ones up here.
Well, okay.
So the one that's down here are double sized already.
But yeah, that's why the bed
Okay.
thing is like double bed. That's what the thing that like, against the wall is. These are bigger rooms than up here. So I mean, you could, I think, all take. Yeah, you could actually all take double rooms if you chose. If you wanted to
Yeah.
knock a wall through each of them, you absolutely
Definitely.
could.
Oh, okay, then in that case.
I'll take the two next to the ship, like the bridge.
Okay.
'Cause that sounds like a good idea. Having the pirate next to the bridge.
Which one are the safest? Which one are as far away from
Where's the-
Kit
where's-
as possible?
The
Next.
ones you were looking at actually are the furthest away.
Everyone that is taken.
where are the escape pods?
There aren't any escape pods.
We've got
Oh.
the shuttles.
It's
The
a warship.
shells.
Escape pods are essentially pointless because they'd just immediately be shot down.
Yeah, because you
In
go
a
down
fight.
with ship.
Yeah. I mean,
Well, I'm not.
first
the
of all that,
captain,
but
so-
secondly, in a fight, there's no point in an escape pod because you're not gonna be able to make use of it.
Why is there my name 3 times?
Because I am, for the sake of formatting, putting everyone's name down the same. Because
Also, no, I actually I'm not gonna make the decision, but yeah, if Lisa wants, we can share the same room. If not, then I'll have a separate room.
Hex, why have you scribbled out a room?
Because that's the minefield.
Right.
Oh, good to know. Thanks. Now I can meta.
Can we leave
Gonna just
it
leave that
so-
amazing drawing.
Right, guys. Can we leave it
Thank
so
you.
we've got at least 1 or 2 spares?
Yeah.
Nah.
Because currently we've got no spare quarters.
I can take one of the two up in. Like, yeah.
Yeah. So are you
We
guys?
use Kit's room as a spare.
So
I
Well,
can switch with Ray or Lexie if you wanna.
yeah, that's a bad idea.
And
Let's not stick
Ray,
you near the bridge.
Why don't you switch with the kid? That'd be nice.
Why would that be nice?
as
I don't
in,
know. So Lexi can have a closer look at Kit's room whenever she would like to.
no. As in, Theo and Seraph, can you only get single?
Yeah, that's the thing. If Lisa says yes, if Theo says yes, I don't give a shit.
I think either way you're going to get single rooms. So we've
Right.
got 2 spare doubles in case, 2 spare ones in case we need to.
Right.
Okay, so you guys
Okay.
are here then.
Then just
Well, after.
okay. Well,
Yeah.
that works. Then, yeah.
let's be
mean-
honest, yeah.
Yeah, that's
Oh,
probably
yeah.
safer.
Yeah, that's better. That's better. The guests can go fuck themselves. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's fine, the guests. They're not staying long.
Yeah. And this will be like initiative.
What's this room here?
This.
Airlock.
No.
So, yeah, no, that is the airlock. So,
So it's armory.
this is the airlock
airlock-
door, and this is the control for the airlock, and
Right.
this is the actual room that decompresses if it needs to. So
Right.
you go in here and then you go out this way.
Decompressorize?
And this thing here is where you have the emergency EVA hamsterable suits.
Right.
And this door is kept open unless it is needed to be closed at all times.
Yeah. And then we've got a large amount of cargo holds for it.
Yes, you've got quite a lot of cargo. As it's a ship that holds a lot of cargo for what is essentially a destroyer.
And then that there next to the living room, I'm guessing, is another small.
It's sort of a cargo hold. It's more of just a throughfare to the hangar. And there's not really much use for it, so it ends up with a bunch of cargo in it, but it's usually just stuff that you want next to your living space.
Fair enough. Right.
And then this one, the actual layout in here may be completely different. That's up to you and Hex, as this is your workshop room.
Yeah. Well, we're certainly functional.
Certainly no
Or
mines
no,
in there.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, there's no mind.
Is there is that also the room where I do my maintenance in that case?
Yeah, that's probably the room you do maintenance in.
All right, cool.
I assume this is kind of my section of the workshop.
Well, I mean, there's a corridor here, but yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
Uh,
Oh, right, sorry.
Yeah, you can claim that's over. But that's a door.
you get
Yep. I can
Right.
leave immediately.
Nice. His table is against the door. It's actually tied to the door. The door doesn't slide, it just falls backwards.
I use the other door. The one that works now.
Mhm.
Right then. So, I think we're just waiting for a wee bit and just waiting until the EVA suits get made.
Alright, yeah, you can pretty much just hang out until that's done if you want.
Yeah, and then so Charlissandra and Ray have the basic EVA suits now.
Plus mag boots, yeah, and you get the heavy armor one, which is do. For the record, obviously you can't have any other armor as well as an EVA suit.
Yeah.
And the EVA suit is really bad armor. The heavy armor variant is, I believe, a 3.
A question:
Yeah.
Would Seraph actually need an EVA suit? Because he doesn't need to breathe or anything, right? So
No,
the
but
only
what an
thing he
EVA
would
suit
really
does
need, like-
is you don't need to breathe, otherwise you just have an oxygen mask. An EVA suit also deals with pressure, radiation, and to some degree, and what do you call it?
I suppose temperature.
Yeah, that's the one I was looking for. You will need an EVA suit, otherwise, essentially, you'd be at minus 273 degrees on one side of you in the shadow, and up to like a lot more than that on the
That
other.
sounds fine to me. I mean, like,
So,
just
in other words,
put me
you'll
over.
be
No,
at
no.
Kelvin temperature.
Yeah,
Your silicon would die.
yeah, you'd be at near absolute
yeah.
zero on one side, and then like you can get really hot on the other.
Yeah.
It can.
Just flip me over, and get an equal
I mean,
here.
it's pretty much how it works.
Yeah.
No, no, you'd be fucked.
Just
Trust me.
keep you in the rotisserie.
Lewis, I hope you understand I'm joking. Like,
Yeah, he
I'm
is.
not being serious.
Hex, what do you mean?
No, never mind. I'm just kind of.
No, like, seriously? Because
radiation wouldn't you wouldn't get sapped. You wouldn't be really cold. It takes a while before you
oh yeah,
get cold because radiation.
yeah.
is
Because the only way to radiate. But after like an amount of time and space, you will get down to one side, like near. If you don't move, and you'll have basically the full force of the fucking sun on the other side, or none at all. But yeah. Also with magnet
really
pressure,
that extreme?
evaporating gases, that kind of stuff will also help it. So yeah, you will actually get quite cold, and it will not be good. You will survive longer than everyone else by about maybe 5 seconds. It's not going to be good.
That's fair. Yeah. My machinery was. Who does?
Yeah, your machinery is good, but it's not that good.
Yeah.
So yes, you would need one. But yeah, you have those now. Those that have them.
Yep.
Cool.
So, what's the plan? Just wing this, or have we got reached out by the person to get? Like,
You haven't received anything to your datapad.
I'll check the ship.
Okay. Yeah.
Also,
You,
Yargon,
yo.
during the recap, you were being kind of vague. Weren't we told specifically to get a map from the ring world?
You were given a map of not the
Oh,
ring
we
world,
were
the
given
sensor
it.
shadows.
Okay.
Yeah. If you want to get a map of the ring world, that you can basically just do that.
No. What I'm saying is, like, isn't it like a pre-Orbi map that we're looking for, or is it something?
Oh,
else?
again, you maybe, but you actually don't know. It's
Oh,
just
okay.
yeah. You're just aware it is a something that will help.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Sorry.
It's me then.
Look, so I was just checking. It's 3 PA for that. For your heavy armor spacesuit thing, EVA suit.
Yeah, it is 3 PA. No EA.
No, yeah, no. Just 3 PA, which is pretty good for an EVA suit.
Yeah, that's fine. That just, I think it drops my
It-
armor
it-
by 2 or 3.
Yeah, it'll be pretty gnarly, but it also lets you live in space, so there's that bonus. So
Yeah, it drops it by 3, but at the same time I can live in space for a bit, so
yeah,
yeah, I'll take it.
and for the record, for now we're just using D&D rules for donning and doffing armor time frame. So 1 minute, 10 minute, 1 minute, 5 minute, 10 minute for medium, heavy, light.
Yeah.
In
Okay.
absolutely not that order, because that was completely wrong. But you get my point.
Yeah. Yes.
What do you mean, Yargon? It just takes 10 minutes to get light armor on.
No, because I started with medium because I'm fucking stupid.
Why do you sound like Bill Burr's idiot voice?
Because he's doing a me impression, so he has to use the dumbest voice he can think of because I'm dumb as shit.
Okay. Alright.
I thought it was
He's just being true to
That's-
form.
I would disagree, but
It's method
That's
acting.
reading a bit, yeah. I was reading a bit too much into it, but sure.
Well, you should be. Yeah. Okay. So, what was the plan? Someone asked me a thing, and then that was it. Lewis, you check the ship.
yeah,
Yeah, you head up to the bridge. You have received a transmission, which it has come through not as something as like a communication, but it has been pinged through as a maintenance log, so not something that would be pinged to your data slate.
yeah.
But a maintenance log has come through, which simply has a comms number in it.
Okay.
Like, you look at it and you're like, oh, that's a comms number.
I ping the comms number.
Okay. You send off a basic hail to the comms number, and you immediately get back nothing.
Yeah, that's right.
It normally would ping back a yes, I'm here, or no, I'm not here. It doesn't do that.
Can I call it?
You call it. You can't tell if they picked up. You don't get a response to that. You don't get a I'm here or an I'm not here. Again, you're just sending outgoing data and you're not getting a two-way connection. But your computer seems to be okay with just sending the outgoing data.
Right. I'll just hang up completely then, and
Okay. You get the sense it's a bit of a one-way line.
I get the sense that was fucking useless. Right then. I get everything together.
Yeah, okay.
So guys, what's the plan? You can't... Like, do you want to head over there now and just scout it out a bit better, or what?
More information is always better. I
Thing
don't
is,
see why not.
from the looks of it, we go scout it out, and it's entirely possible that we'll just need to do it there and then.
Fair enough.
So, right, everyone seems no objections to that then?
No.
You see,
Right.
Kit's one ear is completely just fuzzled like bedhead on this one ear after chewed on it.
It's just flat on one side.
Yeah, it's definitely been licked on and chewed on.
Oh,
And then dried out.
God.
that is a thing I had not considered, and it is now canon. It's
Well,
like
is that what
it's
dogs do?
no. It's like sucking your thumb, but small children and nervous people have a habit. Friends have a habit now of chewing on their ears. That's
yay, baby lord.
weird, but that's now a thing.
You
So I
really
like
should
it.
be careful.
Right. I'll start
Also,
undocking and heading over. I think then.
okay, you go through undocking procedures and you go over. Yeah, it'll take you a little ways to get over to Ring 1, but you can definitely do that. So,
Yeah.
you begin making your way over. All right, let me move you, and that is not the way. Let's see, how far is it? It's a little ways actually. It's a few thousand light years. Yeah.
Bedwood took how long?
Oh god, that's probably going to take you, let's see, in a ship this size, that was what, 60,000, so, for something like this, it's probably going to take you about 2 days. Yeah.
That's not too bad.
Yeah.
Okay.
Just I'll start traveling that direction then.
Okay. Yeah. So you start making your way over. All right. Yeah. 2 days is proper full tilt. But you can definitely do that for a distance like this. I mean, yeah, you're in a fast ship. So you make your way over. All right. What is there anything in particular? Let's say it that way. Is there anything special that anyone wants to do in those 2 days?
I'm gonna try to test out the plasma blade hand thing that Lewis and Hex helped me with. I'm gonna test it out a little bit just to get used to it.
Oh, right, yeah.
All right. Which one? Which one's that?
So Lewis and Hex modified my plasma blade to instead of being like a normal plasma blade, just come out of my hand.
Oh, right. Yeah. Also,
I'm
who
just
did
gonna
that?
be,
Sorry.
like training. What?
Who did that? Sorry.
I believe it was Lewis, but I think Hex might have helped.
Yeah, they will.
Sorry. Fucking.
Sorry.
Oh wow. Thanks, Yargon.
You're welcome. Stay in character.
Fucking, it's either Kit or Rai. Wait, no, that's
Kid or Lexie.
Kid or Lexie.
Lexie.
I somewhat remember doing that.
Yes, I remember you saying that. Okay, yeah. So you can spend some time training with that, and move some stuff out of one of the cargo holds and set up a bit of space to practice, or put your foot on the nose of a shuttle and just sort of push it along the wall a bit.
Anyone want to play Jenga?
I'll play Jenga again.
I'll play Jenga, fuck it.
God damn it.
Yeah.
Start
a slow Jenga tournament.
I'm gonna remove like 2 of my grenades on the Wi-Fi.
3 or 4 person Jenga.
Okay.
That's relief.
So we start the Jenga tournament again, Tom.
All right. Okay. So new scoreboard. Right. Everybody, make me a dexterity check to Jenga.
Oh, proficiency expertise, yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, I've got 2.
You have the absolute max in dex, Kit.
Yep.
So you just click on roll stat,
9!
yeah.
and then whether I'm proficient.
Okay, let's see. Roll a
Of
stat.
course, I rolled so poorly.
Oh boy.
I rolled
What do I
10
need?
more than you.
What dice should I use?
It would be. Are you proficient or do you have expertise in dexterity?
No.
Okay, so just click on roll a stat, put in that you're not proficient because it'll ask you, and then just whatever your bonus is, just type that number in.
Oh, me and Liz are going to need to have a roll off.
Ooh, you are. Actually, you're not because Seraph loses.
I know
Yeah.
that, but for the sake of praise, and who comes not. Oh, I've just looked at Seraph.
Only one person loses. You know that in Jenga,
Yeah.
and everyone else wins. That's how that works. Which means that you don't really
No,
need to roll.
we're having a tournament. Sorry.
I mean,
Yeah.
I assume we're playing this over like 2 days, so it's going to be a bit.
Okay, that works. 11. Yeah.
Okay.
I
This is
just
sort of
saw
a-
Seraph's
Aw.
second there. Like, I feel sorry for you.
Well, I think Seraph like doesn't completely understand the rules of Jenga. Is really trying to okay.
I know that.
You want me to pull the thing? He pulls the thing and then it falls, and he's like, "Did I do good? No.
I know
Okay."
that, but
Yeah.
you're-
So the
you've almost got a
tournament
super
commences.
critical.
Wait, did it?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
flawless.
so disappointing.
You're
Ooh,
almost dominated.
Okay, so well, what we're gonna do? So basically, yeah, no, you, Seraph, you're not very good at Jenga. Takes you a while to sort of figure this out. People have been
Yep.
going on about this fucking game, which is a bunch of cubes stacked on a table.
Right.
And they have like varying difficulty levels of this game, which is weird. It changes the shapes, and some of these cubes are like rounded, so
Right.
it doesn't make any fucking sense. Yeah, it's a game about stacking cubes. It takes a little while to get all figured out. You're not very good at it. Lexie, Charlissandra, also you guys. I mean, you're doing all right. Like you're not terrible. Seraph's over here taking that mantle, but you're not very good.
Just a
Raya's
little rusty.
holding her own a little bit, but Kit does not lose a single game the entire tournament and comes out on top with seeming ease, which is
I'm
impressive.
used to defusing bombs. This is kind of easy.
Yeah, which is like you're like, huh, that's impressive, and then you realise what he does for a living. You're like, oh, oh, he defuses bombs to go to bed in the evening, right?
Yeah.
But sort of mentally ruling Kit out and ignoring him because he's cheating. Everyone else, yeah, I mean, Rai comes in a pretty clear second place, and Charlissandra and Lexie, you two actually tie, with Seraph coming in last. If you're
Yeah.
of your Jenga tournament extravaganza. There's a word. But yeah, you Jenga. Is there anything else anyone particularly wants to do other than Jengering around?
Yeah, can I hold your breath competition?
You can certainly try. How many people can you
I'm
convince?
slightly salty that he didn't understand the rules for an old game that he's never seen in his life, having to play against all organic people. This is bullshit.
All organic people. Oh my god.
So, how many people do you attempt to
Squishing your
convince?
fingers.
You attempt to convince to join you
All
in
of them.
your hold your breath. Okay. Does
All of
anyone
them.
join him in his holding his breath competition?
Nope.
Just quickly.
would.
Do
Oh,
AI
come
bodies
on.
need to breathe?
Soft AI do if they eat, but if they're off ship power, they don't. And he's a hard mech AI. He doesn't even have a mouth.
Kit isn't the most wise, so
Wonderful.
Yeah, Kit would.
Okay.
I'm gonna watch this.
Okay. Yeah. Who's joining in?
Who
Kit,
else?
you are.
Like I'm assuming Lilo's not because she's smart enough. No, not Lilo. Fuck. Right.
Yeah. Rai, Lexie, are either of you joining?
I'll compete against other humanoids rather than
So yes,
I'm a
Correct.
humanoid.
But
I have a vaguely
Yeah.
human shape.
the other organics is the phrase.
I,
Oh, damn,
The
Organics.
phrase meatbags also works.
Oh yeah, I could just use blader terminology, can't I? Blader, fucking Blade Runner. Blader, wow,
yeah, I
Blader.
guess.
endurance then.
Right. Yeah. So everyone who's competing, go ahead and make me an endurance
Or
check.
just act like Claptrap.
Oh, endurance is something I have proficiency in. That's amazing.
You don't have to. You auto succeed.
Oh
Oh,
Jesus!
okay.
Oh god.
You will.
Kit's
Oh,
problem.
That
Is that
was
a?
actually really close.
Is that a
Yeah,
critical?
Yeah, you guys were.
It's a critical, but
So that's a 20.
Nice.
it's a 7 and a 10 plus a
Yeah.
1. I assume that's a critical. Yeah.
Yeah, because a 10, 1 10 on its own means +2, so that's a
Yeah.
20. Okay, so Lexie, yeah. Again, you're just edged out of this competition by Kit, and Seraph is standing over there, still not breathing, having never taken a breath in his life, seemingly winning.
Does this kid realize at any point throughout the whole thing?
Yes, he would, because he's knowledgeable. He's knowledgeable. He just like it takes him a while to get it. He would like not during the competition, but like afterwards, like 2 seconds after like being and be like, oh right,
Yeah.
yeah.
I'm gonna like as soon as Seraph wins, he's just gonna start laughing. Like, but in the the most monotone like laugh ever. Yeah.
Oh god.
Yeah. And there's gonna be like pauses as if he's like trying to like losing breath, but then he starts laughing even more because he realizes like trying to imitate that is the funniest shit in this competition. Keeps fucking laughing.
Right. So
Alright.
after this day of us doing random bullshit,
Yeah, a janky competition and a very sort of unhappy breath holding competition. Yep.
Like we have also traveled for like a couple of months in space before this.
Yep.
So I assume we're pretty good at just dicking around on the ship.
Oh yeah.
I'll
One
just
might
have
even
like
say
my data
you
slap.
have proficiency in it.
Yes.
I'll have my
Not
data slate
expertise.
next to me, just monitoring
Oh, yeah.
things in case things go badly. But yeah, we just dick about for the
Yeah.
time, I think.
Okay. Yeah. So yeah, you spend your
Just
time.
a quick question
Smash
for the
around.
next
Yo.
time.
Yeah.
Quick question for the next time. Do we have first alcohol and second grass on board?
Yes, that's a
yeah.
Yes.
That's right here. No,
The answer to that is yes.
Okay, the grass is not important. I just want to get someone drunk.
Go ahead.
Nice.
Actually, could he just like take in the fucking alcohol, like ethanol, just as if it was fuel?
Nope.
Or is that not? It's not the same thing. I know,
You
but
don't have a combustion engine, my
Not
man.
like Bender.
You're
can
not.
I ask Lewis?
I'm
Yeah.
just- Sorry, I'm just
Not
thinking.
really.
This is not 20. This is not 2019. You don't have a combustion engine.
Yeah.
Oh, this.
We can make a combustion,
no.
put it into a generator and put it into him.
Are you
Ooh.
thinking like the robots or these AI bots operate like Bender out of Futurama?
No,
They
I'm
operate off of
aware, but this is the future. Where fucking what Yargon says is reality. So if he says it, that's a thing we can do. We can do it.
Yeah. Not really. That's not unless you basically want a car block strapped to your back. Like an 8-stroke engine with a fuel tank hanging under it strapped to your back. It's not really gonna work.
An
Yeah, but
8-stroke engine?
he runs. He runs.
I
on
don't know car
electricity,
terms.
right?
Piss
like
off.
You can,
Cylinder
can you plug electricity into?
Oh my god. I want an 8-stroke
I
engine
assume I
now.
run on electricity.
Theoretically,
Yeah.
I'm using. Or do I
So-
run on like?
you run off electricity. You've basically got a big
Yeah.
fucking energy core, energy crystal in your chest.
Can in the common room can we build like a small like 2-stroke engine that runs on ethanol that runs a small electrical generator that plugs into it, just so you can be a part of the drinking.
Go ahead and
Yes.
make me a.
I'll help.
Okay, with advantage. Go ahead and make me I guess engineering knowledge check.
Okay. That's no proficiency and then a plus.
Yes,
6,
just
I think.
just whatever your bonus for knowledge, and then like engineering. Unless you have a focus that applies.
Yeah, I have a focus that applies.
Okay.
I have an engineering +1.
Okay, so yeah, add that to your biggest technical knowledge. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So just add
20.
20. You absolutely can. That's dumb and I love it. Yes.
Oh yeah.
I build it then.
Oh, I'm gonna have to modify the design. Oh, I was painting it like a couple of days ago. I'm gonna
Oh, no.
modify it.
Well, no, this is the thing that sits on the table. It's quite big compared to you. It's like the
I
size of your
assume it's
chest. You could just plonk it on a table with like a wire that comes off it, and it's got like a, like it's got a tank on it, but it's basically got a like one of those kitchen funnels you'd have, just
Right.
on the end, and you just pour alcohol
no,
in
no.
there.
Yargon. Like on top
Yeah.
of the fuel, like where the fuel tank would be, it's just a beer glass.
Yeah, it's a beer glass. You've just cut the bottom out of.
Yeah.
Nice.
Is it possible for me
Yes.
to feel I don't think what.
I'll
No, but it's so that you can join in the social aspect of drinking.
Okay.
communicate it as well. So it sends like a dirty voltage to him, so it simulates him being drunk.
No, you can't do that because that would be code. You cannot do that. That's.
I was thinking if we make him run off of the electric without his energy side, it would be like fluctuations in the electricity should be able to make him feel like he's drunk.
It won't make him feel like he's drunk.
It's the 2.0 version we need to figure out.
Unless there's good decoupling on it and good bulk,
Not without
that should work.
Not without like a DC 30 roll, and if you fail, he dies. Not really,
No.
because you'd have to
Okay, I say.
you'd have to modify
I
his
I think it's worth it.
you'd have to modify the data chip that he's on, which he's probably not going to let you do.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Because it has its own internal thing to regulate the flow, and also doing so would make it so that he can't run off anything else. So he would be basically tethered to alcohol for the rest of his life. So basically, like being
I
drunk.
could be Bender.
Yeah, you make him Bender, but it's like Bender, but he has to carry this thing on a fucking cart behind him.
But that would mean that green thing, the green pyramid thing,
What?
the pyramid thing that absorbs the electricity or whatever. Like you guys, am I dumb?
The
What?
energy temple thing with the crystal inside it, the black crystal.
The thing that no, the black crystal. You guys have faced like an organic thing that passed by and like absorbed the energy from your fucking ship.
Yes, they did.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
oh,
that's-
sorry.
Oh,
You mean
right,
the alien, the alien
like
thing?
because I'm running off a fuel at the point.
I mean,
Like,
you
I
still
guess.
energy, so it
Yeah, I
might
know,
it might
but, like,
not.
Okay. Yeah. I don't know. Never mind.
Yeah.
That's,
Yeah, actually, that's a good point. You're not quite sure.
It's a safety mechanism.
yeah.
That might actually come in useful later. Oh god, I didn't think about that. But yeah,
Yeah.
Wait, just quickly. I'm just thinking this though. If we
Yeah.
give you this thing of you only can run off of that destroys all ability for you to do stealth.
Could I?
Yeah,
wait,
it does.
hold-
You're also gonna be really
hold on,
loud.
Hold on. Question.
You've just got this
question.
two-stroke engine behind you.
So you said that the base body is free, and this body I bought, right? Which means I still have the base body.
it would modify
Right?
your card. Your card is where you are. You can't move off your card. Your card slots into
Oh, you have to
the
modify
card
the
itself
card.
has a thing that regulates the energy in it, so that you can't be plugged into faulty machinery and just die. Basically,
Right.
your card's pretty fucking high tech in that regard. Yeah, which is why
Anyway.
it would be a really high check or you die. Because if the energy in that card ever stops, you die.
Right. Yeah. No.
You may come back to life if someone puts more energy back into it, but yeah.
Yeah.
You break like one wire in there, and it's you would be essentially doing the mechanical equivalent of neurosurgery. Actually, that's exactly what it is. Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah, it is.
open heart
Anyway.
neurosurgery.
On arriving to the system,
Yeah, so
because we pissed about for long enough, I think.
you fuck around for a while. You eventually arrive in this system. Arriving in a system, not exactly a thing. So how far away do you want to basically drop out of hyperspace? Because the ship would hyperspace.
What would be the closest acceptable distance? Which
Like,
wouldn't make us too heavily noticed immediately.
well, it depends. Do you want to go to a specific part of the ring world, or do you want to drop out like somewhere that's not going to get you noticed? Because if you want to be
Not
unnoticed, okay, you could drop out behind a planet in a planet's like sensor shadow, which is actually not that big. But you could probably try and do that. You could also just drop out outside the range of their sensors, which is going to be about like a half light year out.
Couldn't
I
we
would-
also just drop out like in basically hide in plain sight, like over a city somewhere that there's a
Yeah.
lot of like
You
people,
could alternatively just drop out
closest spot.
in the middle of the system, somewhere that it's in what's called the dropout belt, which is basically a certain radius away from the actual ring world itself, where
Yeah.
basically there's no infrastructure because it's an orbit kept clear specifically for people dropping out of hyperspace.
Just quickly, if we did the half light year
Yeah.
drop, how long would that be for our shuttle to get there?
You're looking at the upper end, so like 3 or 4 hours.
3-4 hours.
Yeah, it's gonna take quite a while.
Would that 3 or 4 hours definitely get us spotted? Like, could we run silent?
No, you can't run silent whilst... First rule of combat, there's no stealth in space. You can't run silent so much. You are going to be noticeable. The thing is, you could sort of limit your emissions and be kind of unnoticeable. It's not so much as unnoticeable. If someone's looking for you, they'll find you. It's more, you'll just slip under notice because you don't show up as important. But you are going to be bending space around you, so that's going to be pretty difficult. Unless you want to wait for a few thousand years.
Why not just we
case
just
you can-
drop in, just like as we are, like just literally pretending just to go there for sightseeing or traveling and stuff like that, and then
We'll just drop in to the normal drop-in zone then, and fly to the closest city to where we need to go.
Right.
All right.
Yeah.
Do you remember your access was on the underside of the ring world?
In fact, can we go to the closest... Yeah, no, let's go closest city, shall we?
All right.
Or closest town.
Sure. Your ship is... no, it's Valkyrie class, isn't it? Yeah, so it would be actually capable of landing. Just, you have to land in a berth in a dry dock.
So we're supposed to be tourists, right?
why not just like have it been,
Tourists
like,
showing up in a destroyer, that's an interesting concept.
Tourists, just
But
walking around
Where
and
would
shit.
the standard place to leave this ship be?
In orbit, probably.
Right, we'll find a...
You
sort
find a
of
holding
reas-
orbit and just ditch and get in a shuttle for a ship like this, yeah.
Yeah, we'll do that then.
Well,
Don't
okay.
want to stand out too much.
Yeah, alright, so yeah, you there's the sort of the poof that you get as the ship transitions back into real space, and yeah, you're in system. It looks a little different, actually, to when it did 2 days ago, when you came here in 15 minutes, and suddenly you realise that you got here 5,000 light years away in 15 minutes. And you...
Oh, was that a bigger ship?
You were not here. You were basically on a ride.
Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah.
No,
It like occurs to you like, oh wait, fuck. It looks pretty close, but it's a little inaccurate. And as you're thinking about it, you're like, yeah, I didn't see any other ships other than these shuttles. Huh.
Wait a second. How long was the 7 credit one?
The 7 credit one was like 3 days.
So wait, they just fucked around for 3 days? Is that... Oh, wow.
No, the 7 credit one actually got you there, so there was actual transit, then there was a bit of a tour, and then they'd land and they'd leave you there. So it was like, there was one left, twice a week, every 6 days, basically. And because, because they would, but there's another one you went on for only 3 hours, because you didn't actually go there. You're basically on a theme park ride. You got scammed, bro.
I love that so much. I'm so glad the kids stayed behind on the ship.
Yeah, same.
Think of that at all.
But yeah, as you arrive, you're like, huh, that looks ever so slightly different. Something slightly off. And then it occurs to you, you're like, motherfucker. And you make your way down to the surface of the ring world, and not to the surface of the ring world, to a holding orbit, which is basically it's low Earth orbit, essentially over the ring world. So you're sitting there. Your ship is noted and logged as such things happens, and you get a a ping to your ship, which again it doesn't show up to you. It comes in as, again, not like this isn't a maintenance log, but it comes in as a notice of log, which is a thing where basically it gives you, hey, you have a unique user identification, and here is the all of the specifications according to our data on your ship. You are this type of ship. You are this big. This is your bounding box. This is your sphere of influence. This is your orbit. Please do not move from this orbit.
This is your search history.
Just
Basically,
quickly,
it's just
This is your,
the
this is your
system.
Pornhub account.
The system that controls, it's not ATC, but STC, Space Traffic Control, is noting that your ship exists and rerouting traffic so that you do not collide with other things.
yeah.
Yeah, and
Totally
you actually
not
you
taking
park
all
your
of our information to advertise more shit to us. That's totally not what's happening.
no, not at all. You park your ship, and it does. Your ship actually fires off a few little bursts of the thrusters, and it actually moves your orbit slightly, just to make sure that you're in a path that's not going to hit anything. Which you can tell it not to do, or you can let it do, because otherwise you're going to hit a thing.
Can we be
I'll
in this
let you do it.
geostationary orbit? Or I guess...
Hmm?
Geostationary orbit, basically.
Yeah.
That, can we
Ooh,
be-
no, actually, you can't be in geostationary orbit.
Yeah. Like, would that work or would that not work?
Would we be going around the star by any chance?
Yeah, you essentially orbit. You orbit both. You would orbit the star in a round, but because of the ring, I guess is the best way to say it, you actually orbit over, like a polar orbit over the ring, or what would be a polar orbit over the ring, and then under the ring, and then back up. And so you can be over the same place in the ring, but the ring is, but you are like a band of the ring essentially, but you are going to be orbiting around the ring, and as that rotates around the star.
How close would this orbit get to where we need to go?
Would pass onto the underside of the ring if you decide to park so that it passes directly over the underside of the ring where you were looking at getting in before. Pretty close. It would pass into that sensor shadow, although you don't know. Into the bit where there's a sensor shadow for a brief period of time, but you don't know if it will be during that period of time. You might have to wait a while to get that to happen.
Let's line up so that we would be in, like, try to get into the sensor shadow one.
Yeah.
Like, when we're traveling there, and then we can just shoot down with the shuttle. How long would the sensor shadow be over our ship when
The sensor shadow.
in orbit?
Your ship is only going to be in the sensor shadow for about 2 minutes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Can I set that up?
You can. It will take you about 90 minutes to do an orbit, and I'd say it will take about.
Do you want me to roll pilot Voidcraft to tell?
Yeah, go ahead and make a pilot Voidcraft check.
So that's my pilot Voidcraft plus spacefaring and Dex. Yes, Dex.
Yeah, yes, I think. You have to roll that one manually. It's a fucking weird one. Okay.
4.
Yeah. Yes, you managed to.
That's a good roll.
You managed to get that lined up pretty well. Though you do have the you do have to wait one orbit before the sensor shadow will actually exist, just because of the timing of the other ships. It only exists for a brief period of time, but you managed to get it so you will pass through it when it exists for the full time. So you get about 2 minutes of it.
When is the next when is the next sensor shadow like blip? I guess.
It will be in basically it'll be about 1.5 orbits from your current, so it'll be about
it's more it's
just
like
over 2 hours.
From like when we from the new sensor shadow, like basically in between the sensor shadow.
Yeah. What's like the period between?
Right, there's one about every hour.
Okay.
So is that with the sensor gap and us lining
the
up?
sensor gap is about once every hour. Your ship will line up about every, I think it'll be 3 hours, if I'm doing my maths right. Yeah, it'll be like every 3 hours ish. And there'll be a 2-minute window during that.
Like, could we basically set up a program or like a physical thing that is running in the background on our ship to basically be as it would try to correct itself so that it is within every 3 hours in the sensor shadow. And basically,
you could do that, yes. I will say it may be noticeable if someone takes interest in you. Just these micro bursts of the engines every now and then would be noticeable, but only if they're actively looking for your engine activation, because it will be so small. But yes, you could set up something to keep yourself passing through there every 3 hours if you would like.
We're not going to set that up. I'll check that the orbit's going to be stable for 12 hours.
Oh yeah,
Roughly?
it'll stay stable for essentially indefinitely. You're looking at a couple years.
Yeah. So
I mean, yeah, it is. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
more that like we are sure that in 3 hours there will be another sensor shadow that we can fly up in. Like the
Yes.
next Just more of the-
Yeah, you will only have 2 minutes to dock your shuttle in that sensor shadow. Yeah, so
Trust in our captain.
you're not going to have long.
Yeah.
That'll be a tough roll, basically, to redock without being seen. Though getting down won't be too difficult because you basically pass out of the ship and then you get into the shuttle and you're correcting your orbit in basically a sensor shadow. Because the sensor shadow itself lasts for longer than the 2 minutes, but your ship will only be in it for 2 minutes because you're moving quite fast.
right.
So, big words aside, does Netgibble know he's mooded?
Yeah,
Probably not.
That's new.
I do know.
Oh, he does know this time.
Sorry, I figured it.
Again, do you want to hear?
Improvement.
Right then. So
Let me hear it from us.
let's get our stuff and let's go scout this out quickly. So I think we get to the shuttle.
Okay, so are you going for the faster non-FTL shuttles, I assume? One of them?
The faster ones, would they be the better ones? Would you say? Would
They're
they make the job easier?
They're smaller and they will work. You don't need to FTL, so probably they have
Okay.
greater acceleration. So
Yeah.
Would
I'll
it be
get them
easier
then.
to like redock with them? I guess as well.
no, I mean probably actually because they've got that greater acceleration to catch up to your ship in orbit. So yeah,
Yeah.
probably.
Yeah. I'll get that one
You
then.
can circularize your orbit faster. Okay, so yeah, you shuffle your stuff around and your ship actually basically it locks the hangars and you can pick a shuttle and it will move the other shuttles around inside the hangar when no one's in it. But it obviously will check and then it moves them around with giant fuck off holograms and the lack of gravity and stuff. And it will float one of the shuttles into the front of the bay so that you can use it.
Yep. Get onto that one and then head down.
Okay,
Captain, what are we expecting? Heavy resistance, medium resistance.
Unknown resistance.
Okay,
Bring
I'm
everything.
gonna grab
my-
Don't bring everything, please.
I'm gonna grab my
Please.
rocket.
Fact.
Like
Tom?
you see, Kid is, as
Yeah.
you say that, Kid is jump like happily like. Whee!
Can we do a first pass over?
Yeah.
And see what we can see on the backside.
yeah, you do have to orbit once before you will get your sensor
Yeah.
shadow. So, yes, are you going to actively scan or passively scan it?
Passively scan, because actively scan is going to be detected, right?
Yes. Okay. So basically, an active scan is shining a light on a thing to see it better, but a passive scan is just looking at it with a fucking eyeball. But fancy eyeballs that are made of lasers and sci-fi nonsense. So, you scan it. Okay, go ahead and make a... Ooh. This would be a scanner's check, and I have not made ship stats and sheets for this kind of stuff yet. So,
Technical space theory?
yeah, go for a technical space and that works.
Good, because that's the one that I'm good at as well. Doesn't matter. I've rolled poorly.
You did, that's 12. Alright.
Should I roll just technical? Can I also roll? I guess.
This is for the ship sensors, so no, it'll be only one roll.
Okay.
Okay, so yeah, it's more one person can operate the sensors, and he's operating the sensors to do it. So yeah, you scan away. You don't get a crazy amount. You do see a number of these entrances on the exterior hull, I guess, of the ring world. You don't get any what do you call it? Any weapons emplacements or turrets or anything like that come up. It doesn't appear to have any defenses. You also don't see any shield emitters or any active shields. But what you do see is the entrance to where you need to go. But unfortunately with the 12, that's all you get.
Yeah.
You do find the entrance to the tunnel you were looking to get into.
Yep. On the next one, we'll drop our ships and I'll set it up so it does another passive scan while we're coming up to the drop-off zone, and then just drop as soon as the window opens.
Sorry. Yep. Okay.
Bless you.
I apologize. Yes, you can do that. You won't be able to reroll, but yes, you do that. That's part of the stuff you get. And yeah, okay. So you're gonna hop out during this sense shadow. Yeah, that's something I'm not gonna make you roll for because that's relatively easy. Docking will be tough.
And my minimum roll is like 8. Sorry.
Yeah. Well, an 8 would fail you, but your average roll
right, would
is... Yeah, an 8 would fail you. But your average roll on that is way higher than that, so you'll be fine.
28.
Yeah, you're in your 20s. So, yeah, no, you absolutely will be fine. So yeah, you disembark during this sense of shadow, and you're gonna... You make your way down. Alright. What is everyone bringing with them?
I'm bringing my war kit.
I assume that's just
Katana?
everything.
No, katanas.
Well, I sent you what it is.
Oh, right, that one. Are you bringing your precious thingy? Is that in
Yep.
there? I assume so.
Bring my waifu.
Right. Oh, God. Does she have a name? She needs a name.
Yeah, waifu.
Oh, right, okay. That is her name. Right. Oh, God, do we have a fucking weeb fox, man?
Yeah.
Yes.
Apparently,
I made furries and you
They're
accidentally made
like
it a weeb.
this.
Oh,
This one is mine.
Very weep fox, man.
I regret everything.
You regret it.
Guys, SNL is cancelled because I have made a mistake. No, I'm kidding.
Sex was made. I'm bored.
I mean, Rick is a dragon lady, right?
Yeah.
I mean, yeah.
Well, you already made a mistake there, my dude.
Wow.
Yeah, but
This is-
he didn't
I mean-
make his scaly woman into a weeb, so...
Here's the thing, though, Yargon. Like, you have tentacles, you have dragons, and you have furries.
I mean, I
Like,
don't really have
what
tentacles.
did you expect?
Actually, you know what? That's
No,
a fair
you
point.
do,
Yeah.
The fucking like tentacle head people.
It's not
Yeah.
tentacles, though.
The
They're not-
Yosoka looking like
Close enough.
people.
Dulak, they have a name.
Yeah, I.
They're not.
Yep.
They're not like properly tentacles because you can't like control them. They're
They're
just floppy.
They're tendrils.
Sire tendrils.
Tendrils. Nearly good. Nearly good.
You nearly got it there, but you actually mispronounced it because it's only a psi if it's in the middle of a word, whereas psi if it's at the start of a word when you with an X.
Okay, stop yourself.
Yeah.
Sorry, I have grammar
Yeah.
grammar rules, and I will which means
Yeah,
good.
really.
That
I'm
means
pretty
good.
much bringing everything I have as well. all the
At least he
ammunition.
does the grammar to his own stuff correctly.
I English is much good. Fuck. Ooh.
Would it be overkill to bring any small equipment?
What?
Doesn't.
What was that, that cable?
Yeah, is taking 80 clips overkill?
Yeah, that's a little
Yes.
bit beyond
Yeah.
overkill.
Oh no, sorry, not 80 clips, 80 ammunition, so 8 clips of 10 bullets, I think.
Are you using a physical weapon?
Yes, it's a the fucking.
Right.
It's
Then
my fish.
Then yes, that's not overkill. That's a reasonable amount.
Yeah, it's like a pistol essentially, or like a rail pistol. Something like that.
Oh, rail pistol. Yeah. Yeah. No, that's a reasonable
I
amount.
mean, I'm gonna need the cross reference because I put like an anagram.
Right. I mean, it's a.
Anagram. Oh, whatever. Fuck it. Yeah, you get what I mean. I'm fucking retarded.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, but it's Wait, not a fucking anagram. What?
Yeah, it's not an anagram. That's what. Yeah.
What's the fucking? What? No.
Acronym. I
That's
meant
the one.
acronym.
Yeah. Okay. Sorry.
Yeah.
You
But yeah,
confused me with your
I'll-
talk of
Nah,
anagrams.
it's just an anagram.
Tom, just
Yes.
quickly, would we need ATS suits for the back of this, or would we be fine?
ATS suits.
ATS, the suits we just bought.
Those are
EVA.
EVA.
EVA, sorry.
Extravehicular Activity. ACS is Allied Cartographic Society. No, you will not need EVA suits. From what you can tell, that it will be pressurized on the inside.
Neither ACS suits.
Alright, so once we're in, we'll be fine.
Yes. You
I'll
could
put
bring
my
them if you
EVAs
want.
I'll put my EVA suit onto the shuttle. But
Okay, yeah.
I won't
As you
put
can
it
see,
on.
the shuttle does have an airlock, so
yeah.
yeah. Alright.
And then
okay.
I'll bring my scythe, my pistol, my rifle,
Yeah, okay, so
hand grenade, and
you're bringing
yeah.
your war kit. Okay.
yeah, I'm
So-
bringing my war kit.
You'll bring your war
Also,
kit, you'll pile in. Who's piloting?
Me.
Right, that's a disappointment. I was hoping for some crashing and burning today. So,
Oh, can Seraph try? No.
No.
Mom, could I try?
Come
But
on,
yeah.
please.
By the way, when you see Kit coming, you hear the doom, 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 doom
Yeah.
before, and it's basically a backpack. Like you basically see the backpack before you see Kit.
Yeah, he's mostly backpack at this point.
Yep. And he has his chain laser in his hand, and
Yep.
also a beamer
Right.
in his backpack. Well, kind of sticking up out of it.
Yeah. I mean, a beamer in itself is quite a large weapon, and he's also got a chain laser, which is about as big as they come. He is packing some insane heat right now.
Yep.
It's acceptable in this situation.
Yeah. You see him and you're like, oh, right. You're armed to take down, like, small starships. I see. But yeah, you will pile on aboard your shuttle, and when the time comes, yeah, you open the actually it's already open because it's just a force shield across it. So yeah, you pile it out, and you burn your engines quite fast and sort of jettison yourself, I guess is a word, away from the ship and launch down towards the ring world, destabilizing your orbit into a trajectory mostly downwards, staying inside the sensor shadow the entire time. And by the time the sensor shadow disappears after a few minutes, you're close enough to the ring that basically you're actually in its permanent shadow, because there aren't ships that actually see this part of the ring currently. A couple of days there will be, but right now you're fine.
Alright, yeah.
Yeah. And as you approach down towards the surface of the ring world, should we take a break?
Yes.
Let's do that.
I'm gonna be away for like 10 minutes. Is that okay, or is that too much?
That's
time?
fine. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
10
So
minutes is good.
we will be back
I need to
in 10
prep my
minutes.
meal, so.
Yeah, we'll be back in 5-10 minutes. So BRB.